So good morning and good evening. Welcome to the psychic education session where we are going through the workbook on psychic education. So invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's grace and presence as we begin this session. Praying and aspiring for suppleness, expansion, strength, courage to make what I learn mine or me. So if anybody would like to read the prayer before we begin, then we'll start with the book.
Yes. Lord, we pray to Thee. May we understand better why we are here. May we do better what we have to do here. May we be what we ought to become here, so that Thy will may be fulfilled harmoniously. Mother.
Thank you, Jagan. So we are right now on the section titled Self-Observation. So we had gone through a couple of exercises, and today we'll just take a little bit of overlap about the science of living. So if anybody would want to read, they can start with from here with self-observation. Thank you.
With self-observation, you have started the science of living. It is an inner exploration. It is an adventure that will make you more aware of your outer nature. It will also lead you to the discovery of your inner worlds. It is the beginning of a long journey, but this journey has a very beautiful goal: discovering the living truth of your psychic being. There is a lot of work to do. You will observe your outer nature and help it to be purified so that it can be at the service of your psychic, even if this is still behind the veil. You will discover your inner and innermost being and allow it to actively participate in your daily life. Then, in a later stage, there is the work of unification. The first stage of unification is the centering of the mind, vital and physical, around your psychic being. The next chapter will tell you more about the search for the psychic being. The first steps in the science of living. Give yourself the luxury of spending at least 20 minutes a day all by yourself for self-observation. Help yourself to keep up your effort by posting reminders on your mirror or any other place that you are likely to see during the day. Look for other ways to encourage yourself to keep it up. Begin observing yourself also during daily activities. Don't judge or criticize yourself whenever some weaknesses in you show up. Do not suppress them. Live with them while trying to overcome them. Remember, nobody is without them. Try to be understanding to yourself, but be understanding to others as well. They have their difficulties and may be working hard to overcome them. When you become more aware of your strengths and your qualities, nurture them to greater perfection. Remember, everyone has something unique to share.
Yeah, we can stop there, I think, and just go through it once. So as we know, we are going through the chapter self-observation. We were given, we were asked to sit with ourselves, again 20 minutes, and observe our feelings, thoughts, body sensations. And there were a couple of questions we were asked to go through in our own time that would help us identify more about ourselves. Like, how if I say something, is it coming from the vital? Is it the physical? Is it the mental? So if I start with that exercise, things suddenly become more clear to me. So here again, self-observation, it is being said, it's like you've started the science of living. So this is what we discussed last time, that this it makes us more aware of our outer nature. And when I hear about things that I have to do, things that I have to transcend, sometimes it appears too big. And yet we can always take the next step, we can always take the next step. So this is like the next step which can actually help me in making more sense of things. In the sense, a lot of times we are confused, right? That what is happening, why is happening, why is it hard or difficult or challenging or painful? But with the self observation, suddenly it's like as if, some shutters have opened and there is some light that tells us, okay, maybe this is where, I can work, or this is the pattern. So, of course, there is a lot of work to do. Simply here they have been telling us to keep 20 minutes a day all by ourselves for self-observation. So, if I may be allowed, I know some of us don't join regularly, but for the others who have been joining regularly, and even if the others want to share who don't do it, do we have a dedicated time to give ourselves like 10 minutes, 20 minutes in which we actually watch our thoughts or feelings or question some patterns that we see in ourselves. I would request all of us one by one to unmute and share so that if we are not doing it, we can, maybe aspire to start doing it and doing it right, from today. So just to maybe shake things up a bit, if we can just share if we are doing it already or not, since we are here for the session. And this is one requirement of the book, that we give it 20 minutes of our day, 20 minutes in our day. Okay, so I'll just, if nobody is willing, I'll start. Juan, do you give 20 minutes or something a day to observe basic what's happening inside, so that, from a stepped back position, maybe?
Well, I have been, I had this discipline for a long time. I feel now I'm less regular in this taking time for specific concentration and meditation. But at the same time, I'm more aware of this throughout the day. But yes, I can feel that taking a time. In my case, I always like to meditate in the morning. It's the first moment of the day, and generally I can notice the difference between keeping this time and forgetting about it, like this maybe little concentration of half an hour or something like that every day. It's kind of hygiene was something that really helps, and yes, I usually do that. No, not every day.
Yeah, so here, it's like it's about the psychic being, like the book that we are reading. And it was said that we have to do it consistently. So what we are already able to do, that's great, right? Like that's again something good and we must be happy. But because it's a long journey and there's a lot more to discover, uncover, shed. So if we can again maybe practice, a designated time of the day, and it was said that if we do something for, I don't know, 40 days at a specific time every day, it becomes a habit. It doesn't take an effort. So if we can put in that effort for 40 days, which doesn't sound much, right? Like in the big picture, but in the small picture, it's like, when I'm about to, it's like, okay, from tomorrow, that's what we do. But if we can do it, that would be great for us if we want to do it, of course. How much more can we say? Yeah. So, Jagan, are you able to do that since you have joined the session? I don't know if you can unmute, and if you can't, it's fine.
Yes,
Okay.
so I haven't been able to do that, but yesterday I had about 15 minutes time. So I didn't particularly do those steps, but I did try to look at what is, I don't know what how to say this. I just tried to look at why certain disturbances come in me,
Yeah.
and what is the root, like where it really is originating from. So
Yeah.
I could get to, I think, a very little bit of it, but I think I'll keep that going on from today as well.
Yeah, so if you remember, we've been kind of doing it for last 2 weeks that we were instructed that if this is something important to us, connecting with the psychic, discovering our psychic, then if we can give it 20 minutes to start, for self-observation. So if we can do it a bit more, with some discipline and regularity, like every day, that
Yes,
would really help for sure. There's no if and but about it. So
yes,
if we
ma'am.
can do it, yeah. Yeah,
Fine.
Charuji, if I may ask you, and I'm sorry if I'm being very pokey.
Yeah, no, 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 not at all.
Yeah,
So I've been doing, yeah, since maybe before even starting this session, I started doing, but in between I discontinued. But so many questions are being answered. Why do you do what you do? That
yeah,
question always comes to me. Uh, now I don't say that, I have succeeded, but it's beautifully, everything is unfolding. It's really beautiful. And in between I'll not do it that time 5:30 to 6, but after that I will do evening or do, but sometime during the day, or sometime before sleep I will definitely do it. And it is really helping me. It is really helping me. Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
stressing on it. And like it said, right, like when we were reading, that set aside a time, and if you're not able to do it at that time, set a alternative time so that you don't miss the day. So thank you for being able
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
But early mornings it is very good, very very nice. But it doesn't happen sometimes.
Yeah, and
Other
that's
things.
absolutely fine, right? But at least the being is still trying, right? Even if it's not happening. So it's
Yeah.
really good in disciplining, the ego that this has to be done, come what may. Yeah,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you
sharing.
so much for
Yeah,
this session. Yeah.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vishalji, if I don't know if you have the capacity to mute, uh, unmute, sorry. You're already
Yeah,
muted.
yeah, no, I'm muted. Yeah, yeah, I kind of agree with Juan. I guess I don't have any specific time, but I suppose I could, need to do that. But yeah, I feel like, I think at some point it becomes like a backdrop almost, right? Like it is there, and so, but there are times that obviously we lose it. I think it's there for we have, you know done some for some time. Just like say you're busy with something or something, you just lose it. But I think, as you know, Charlie said, I think that basically it's important to know why. I think, and you also touched on it, right? Where is this coming from? So I think that's a good thing that I try to do when I feel like something, something uh, like for example, if I'm playing mental gymnastics with myself, then I know, okay, the mind is trying to go multiple ways, and it'll give you pros for this and cons for this, and that sort of thing. Or if you feel like anger or something, then it's coming from the vital, right? And you just so I think that you know becomes kind of like a flag, that immediately, like, I think, oh wait, this is where is this coming from? Sometimes you catch it, sometimes you don't catch it in time.
Yeah.
you know.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. So, there's this Kabir Doha which is so popular that, दुख में सुमिरन सब करें, सुख में करे न कोई, जो सुख में सुमिरन करे तो दुख काहे को होए. So basically, we wait for these troubles to come up, right? For me to give special attention. But the idea is that if every day I am giving attention to the things that are even, right now not boiling, but just maybe, about to start brimming, then I can stop it before it begins. I mean, there's a possibility. So if there's regular cleaning up, maybe then Diwali ki safai does not need to happen, something like this. You know how like Acharya Prashant used to beautifully say that बेहोशी की तैयारी होश में करनी पड़ती है. Like, while you're conscious, you have to make preparation for the time when, what if you become unconscious or if you faint? So this 20 minutes would be me doing consciously things that I can do when I am fully me and not being bombarded by the forces, the whatever. So yeah, again, if we can do it, great. If we can't, of course, we'll do it whenever it's needed. So that's always there. So that's great. So yeah, I know Shilpa usually can't unmute and share. She's at work. So yeah, Ritu,
I
yeah,
can today very quickly, just
okay.
few minutes. Yeah, thanks. What I'm finding is that it's like I'm wanting to know what is a psychic. It's like although one sort of keeps hearing all the terminal, well, not and reading and all the rest of it. It was suddenly after many years that I thought, no, I really want to study what is the psychic exactly. And I found recently reading Letters on Yoga, Volume 1, just reading about psychic and different classification of the parts of the being has really helped me to somewhere, one of those aha moments kind of thing. So I find that being kind of helpful because every morning kind of reading about that. And then, of course, when we then go through the book, and I know more than often I'm just able to only listen in, that it is helping me a lot. Thank you. Just wanted to share
Yeah.
that.
So have you been able to dedicate like maybe 20 minutes for kind of this
It
self
through that reading,
through that
in the
reading?
mornings. I mean,
Okay.
like one, or like all of
Yeah.
us, I suppose,
Yeah.
that one, that general few minutes every day one is
Yeah.
setting aside. But now it's in that search of wanting to know what is a psychic,
Mm.
I'm able to spend that dedicated time. So as much as it's not like, okay, for this only,
Mhm.
but through that I am.
Yes. Thank you. And we appreciate
Thank
the
you.
sharings that you do on the
Thank
group.
you.
Very reflective. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm learning a lot through it.
Mm. Yeah. Ritu, any if you would like to share?
Yeah, I have been doing it for 3, 4 years now, especially when I first got to know about this word psychic being. So at that time, I started some sessions with Monica on pain and suffering. So there she shared some meditations wherein one can get in touch with the psychic being. So those were quite good because earlier I could never relate to what psychic being is. So while doing those meditations, it basically said that in those meditations that look at something in you which you want to offer, which you are not happy with, and you would just offer to the fire. So those were good. So I could identify a lot of negative things in me. which I would on a periodic basis try to work on them. But then I would think that I have worked on them and now they are a little better. But then someday something would happen and again I would be back to square one. And then that cycle would start. I would again start working on it. So slowly, I think it's been very, the growth has been very tardy, but still, sometimes it becomes depressing when you see yourself again getting into the same loop. And then sometimes, there's a phase when you don't want to think about it. That, okay, even if it's negative in me, let it be there because I've tried and I failed and I've tried. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. And then constantly observing all those things is a very big task. So one has to be always vigilant. Then one gets tired sometimes. It's like you're controlling not to have sweets. Then you control it for a week. And then after a week, you do take scoop of ice cream. So then when I get tired, then I remember what Chetsunma said, just forget everything and be kind or
Mhm.
just take delight. So there are cycles and phases and all these in this. But
Yeah.
then, yes, every day in the morning or in the evening, I do sit, whether it's for meditation or it's for chanting. So I think though that is the time when even while meditating, we think about the psychic being. I mean, I think about the psychic being because while chanting also, I try to focus on the psychic being, like focus the energy or whatever I'm chanting, so that the psychic being becomes stronger. So that's what I do. Yeah. And here, like it is written that write it somewhere where it is apparent that you need to practice for 20 minutes every day. So I've done that. I've written it 2, 3 places. And then initially, like sometimes on Diwali, I took a wow kind of a thing that, okay, now I have to start. Then on New Year's again, I'll do that. Okay, now I'll wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start. So I do it for a month and then again something happens and then again I slip. So now from Diwali, that's 12th of November till now around 12th of December, so I have been regular. That's one.
Yeah, that's a good touch wood. Yeah, so see what we have done in the past, that's all great, right? And we would be benefiting to whatever degree from that. But since we have started this book, right, and this book requires, if we are sincerely seeking something, 20 minutes for self-observation, right? Self-observation. That's what I had shared on the group also, those pointers that it had given that said, look at yourself, see how much you are, going with your thoughts and stuff. So just again, an invitation for keeping that time every day without taking a break for self-observation. So if we want to try that, we can, and we will see more that I don't usually see. And it really helps in purifying because a lot of things you see that you feel that why am I doing this? Or why is it there? And then it's easy for it to let go when I am able to so easily see certain patterns come up, come up, come up.
But sometimes I get tired of seeing. I mean, um, because I try to see and I keep seeing, and then I feel negative. I feel bad that why am I not able to do anything about it? Then I try to ignore it. I don't want to see it because so much of seeing makes me feel that okay, there's so much negative.
Yeah, so okay, that's fine. I think that's also a journey, right? Say if you enter a room and it's really like, it's like you want to clean it and you see it's too dirty, right? So a lot of times we do is we go in and then we come out and not today. We go in and we come out not today. And then maybe slowly, some days we are able to do a little. But if they are seeing something within which it feels it's just too much, and it's your it's my being and I'll only have to do something about it. So with a prayer and aspiration and effort, so again this is saying just 20 minutes, right, of dedicated time in which I am just observing. So that should not be that tiring, right? So if you want to start it, but if one feels right now not okay, that's fine. But just for the workbook, I was wanting to stress on that. But I hear what
You
you're
know,
saying, yeah.
on the point about, I mean, that's a very nice point. It is. So there, I just wanted to add two things. One is this. So that the reason, I think one feels tired is because that you identify with that. See, that is the issue. So you think it is yours, but it's not. Most of this is come, you know, from where? But that is not your true being, right? We're one session. I mean, we're talking about the psychic being. So mother used to, people used to come to her and she would say nothing she would see. All these things in ourselves. She would just see your soul. That's it. And if that, was something luminous, that was bright, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what junk you had because that you would clean up eventually. And that's not yours. It's just that's the thing. It's like you're going into the house as was just said. And but now you're going to live there. Well, that happens to be messed up. Okay, well, you got to clean it, right? And so that's and there is that part. I think Monica has mentioned it many times. That initially the taste seems very like, what is this? What am I eating? It's very bland. You have to acquire the taste. But at some point, what happens is you start enjoying the challenges. That's very interesting. You don't right now, but there's a time that comes when you start enjoying the challenge. And it's like, some trainer or something, let's say you're playing music, right? And you like just struggling, what, I can't play anything. Then you become a little better. Then you feel like, oh, getting better. Then you get better. Then you want to take on more difficult tasks. So that there is a time there that it switches where it actually becomes joyful to learn versus very tedious. And that's all it is. It's just that journey that we are all taking. And at some point, you hit that thing where I say, oh, this, some other says about this self mastery. So it's actually very, it's fun. You kind of say, okay, well, I'm playing a game with all this stuff in me. And we all have. I mean, there's no question about it. We are like just burdened with it. But, there are times you'll say, oh, I thought I, could control my temper. But then you suddenly lose temper again, or you get angry at somebody. I remember Charuti mentioning this. And it's just the way it is. So, but you don't get upset about it. You say, okay, well, yeah, okay, I'm gonna, work on it, or you give it to the mother. That's the best thing. So that was a very, I think we all have seen that, we experienced that frustration. What is this? This seems too difficult. But you just have to persevere. That's why there's so much emphasis on that.
Yes, thank you. And in the Circle of Harmony, there was this sharing from, I don't know, Nandini, who had shared a picture of different faces of sadhana or something like this she had read, like smiling, crying, angry, like, so I must learn to smile as well because I feel that's the least thing that I do out of all those faces. You know what I'm talking about? Like, at times some things happen, we cry, we get angry, or we smile, right? So I think kind of trying the smiling part more, that like Vishalji was saying, that it's not me, it's like, this is what, how again, I know you really resonated when once we had shared from Acharya ji that, ye mitti hi kharab hai, right? Like the thing that I am made of, the clay that I am made of, that is defective. And we are all sharing the same clay. So it's not you are seeing something. All of us have those same something, there might be something more in you, there might be something more in me of a different thing that needs to be transcended. And we are all, like Rumi says, walking each other home, and we have to continue. And it's so good that we can see, right? Like again, how it's said that the further we go, the more we realize how far we are. So that doesn't mean we sit down. That means that we even would want to, should want to, could want to go in even harder. Yeah. And I know you do that. I know you are a very motivated person. So I'm not worried. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. That was good. It's good to, I think, just connect, although we didn't do much today. So yeah, Chetna, you're the last one. I don't know if you have the capacity to unmute and if you want to share anything, otherwise we can move forward.
Very I can very briefly share uh, what I'm finding in my, and also some of these questions that have been put up, for example, like, is your mind so caught up about people, about thoughts about other people, what you're thinking of them, beating yourself up, etc., etc. It's like all of us have this ideation, that it's inherent in every human being of wanting to be better, to perfect ourselves. And so in that striving, I find we become too hard on ourselves. And through becoming so hard that we get caught up in that drama. Like, I'm not good enough. I can do better. Why am I not doing it? And we forget about all the forces that are playing on us. And so the resistance being met from everywhere. And then to remember that irrespective, mother is not in a hurry. Your whoever, your deity or whoever it is that you turn to. And they're always there. And I think some Savitri line that we read about the Dark Mother opening, I mean, if suddenly she gave you everything you were striving for, are we ready and prepared to receive that? Because as she said, she says, like, when Aurobindo also said, if I gave all the love and everything, today nobody would be ready, which is why he left his body. So it is, we can say, okay, I have to be more receptive, but what is that? How much have I prepared myself to receive? So it's this whole through slow process that we can all do it and be kind to ourselves through it all. And I think that the progress, at least for me, I'm finding, okay, be kind to yourself, but the progress then suddenly becomes faster because I'm not wasting my time telling myself all the things that I'm not able to do. What my mind is saying, how stupid, this is so something, this is so basic, this is so simple. Why are you not able to overcome it? I can't overcome it, so come on, give yourself a break and say, all right, but I will get there. The assurance that mother has given. I find those kind of things do help me. Thank you.
Yes, Shilpa, thank you. One of my most favorite quotes from Sri Aurobindo, I'd seen it in Bharat Bhavan in Auroville. I don't remember the exact words, but it was, it's like when you pray, know that he listens, he hears. And if the reply takes long in coming, know that he knows when is the right time. He knows best what is the right time. And while you are waiting, clear your jungles so that when he comes, he doesn't have to trip over, stones and mud to reach you. So it's like this is what we are trying to do, just purifying, clearing, cleaning as much as we can in our capacity. And this is something that I really love in most of the passages, a lot of them at least. When I read, I always say, Mother says, as per your capacity, as per your capacity, right? We are not asked to move mountains, but can I move this stone, that twig, that stick? Small, 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 small things which maybe we don't even give value to. Can I purify, purify, purify as much as I can see around me? So it keeps the goal small, it keeps the pressure low, So if I just feel a bit motivated, which I'll have to do to motivate me, I might have to, kind of say that yes, one has to. And yeah, you just take the next step, take the next step, take the next step. I'll share the exact quote later. It's beautiful. Yeah, so I think we can now we have 20 more minutes. We can take the workbook further. So just here again, 20 minutes a day and effort, reminders we see. Look for other ways to encourage yourself. So keep observing this. A lot of us spoke about, right? Yourself also during daily activities. So if you're already doing that, that's so great, we're grateful for that. And so this is what I think we were just discussing, that don't judge or criticize yourself whenever some weakness in you show up. Do not suppress them. Live with them while trying to overcome them. Remember, nobody is without them. So it's a collective thing. It's not me. There's nothing much which I can just say or at all that me, me, me. That also is the ego which is trying to stop us. So try to be understanding to yourself, but be understanding to others as well. Everyone, they have the difficulties, and we are all trying to do our best. When you become more aware of your strengths and your qualities, nurture them to greater perfection. Remember, everyone has something unique to share, and that includes me. I forget that I too have something unique to share, so remembering that as well. And sharing could be with myself also, or only. Yeah, so let's see, take this thing in the box, the instruments of manifestation. If anybody is willing, they can please read the whole thing and then
I would like to read.
okay.
Starting from, okay, the instruments of manifestation. There are two things to be considered: consciousness and the instruments through which consciousness manifests. Let us take the instruments. There is the mental being, which produces thoughts, the emotional being, which produces feeling, the vital being, which produces the power of action, and the physical being that acts, the mother. If you want a more swift and visible progress, it can only be by bringing your psychic to the front through a constant self-offering. Aurobindo. The mother talking to a small group of teachers. And if you could find each one of you, your psychic, and unite with it, all the problems would be solved. The psychic being is the representative of the divine in the human being. That's it. You see, the divine is not something remote and inaccessible. The divine is in you, but you are not fully conscious of it. It acts now as an influence rather than a presence. It could be a conscious presence. You should be able at each moment to ask yourself what is, how the divine sees. It is like that. First, how the divine sees, and then how the divine wills, and then how the divine acts. And you need not go into inaccessible region. It is right here. Only for the moment, all the old habits and the general unconsciousness put a kind of covering which prevents us from feeling and see from seeing and feeling. You must. You must lift, you must lift that up, the mother.
Thank you, Gagan. So it feels almost like a recap of what we were reading. We were told about, right, the different parts and how we can clearly identify when I'm saying this, which part of me is it coming from or appears to be coming from. And a lot of times we can see that, it's not really that big of a deal, but if I'm doing something or receiving something in blindness, I act more aggressively toward things which might not really be of much value. So there are two things to be considered, Mother says, consciousness and the instruments through which consciousness manifests. So let us take the instruments. There is the mental being which produces thoughts, the emotional being which produces feeling, the vital beings which produces the power of action, and the physical being that acts. So through the self-observation, the chapter, this is what those 20 minutes, I'm sorry, I think I'm getting obsessed with the 20 minutes, but this is what the self-observation will help us get more in touch with, that which part is it coming from. And when I can see it, when I can identify it, there is more clarity in my being. There is more, solidarity. There is more, therav. I don't, what word would be, I, yeah. So there's more stillness through which I can act. I don't just react. Yeah. So yeah, and this is what I think Ritu was sharing, about the offering to the psychic fire. So the meditations, the psychic fire meditation, it's about that. So basically, that fire is lit, it is said in all of us. And the things that we don't like or we would want to not be associated with anymore or be puppeted by anymore, if we keep consciously offering it to the fire, it rises, it becomes bigger and bigger and stronger in us. So the constant self-offering through the fire, or how we offer that this is where I'm stuck, please take this, or you can do it, I can't. It's just a way in which there's more light and the stepping back can happen. So anything on these two? Okay, so going further, the last one. So Mother says, if you could find each one of you, your psychic, and unite with it, all the problems would be solved. We love to complain. We love to, I don't know, make excuses. We love to, at times, even accuse that what is this world? I don't understand what is happening. Why can't I see things clearly? Why does the other behave like that? Why is my situation like this? And yet, again and again, we are being presented with this fact that if we could find and unite with a psychic, all the problems would be solved, the chaos will be, sorted, the confusions will disappear. So again, more and more reason for us to be more focused on this task. The psychic being is the representative of the divine in the human being. So I think Monica had shared on the group, right, very beautifully how Mother had said that the divine is the generator, the psychic being is the cord, and I am that unit. So I keep charge or I get the divine influence, I connect to the divine through the psychic being, the thread, the cord of the psychic being. So the psychic being is the representative of the divine in the human being. That's it. You see, the divine is not something remote and inaccessible. The divine is in you, but you are not fully conscious of it. So many masters and mystics and Sufi saints, they have mentioned the same thing. We all have heard it, but maybe it's time to realize it. So it acts now as an influence rather than a presence, right? That small voice which says, which I mostly can ignore because it's so subtle. The mother says it should be a conscious presence, not just, a influence. You should be able to each moment to ask yourself, what is, how the divine sees. It is like that. First, how the divine sees, because when I see using my limited senses, I see limited. I see everything in a divisive way, right? Me and the other, me and the world, me and society, me and situations. But the divine sees from here, right? The top view. The first, how the divine sees, and then how the divine wills, and then how the divine acts. Savitri, I don't know which canto. There are some lines when, Ashwapati it said that, the lights were lit from the viewless heights. The wisdom was heard from, the depths, the bottomless depths, something like this, that suddenly there was this illumination and that connection as to how things are happening, why things are happening. So we see that. So it is like this, first how the divine sees, and then how the divine wills, and then how the divine acts. And you need not go into inaccessible regions. Sometimes we feel, oh, it's so tough. What do I do? How do I go? But it is right here, only for the moment. All the old habits and the general unconsciousness put a kind of covering. So all the old habits and the general unconsciousness put a kind of covering which prevents us from seeing and feeling. You must lift that up. I think this is really important. If we are conscious, if we are aware, if we are on the track of these subtle movements, it's not possible that we have not seen that, okay, this is not something I want to do or I like to do, and yet something comes and overtakes. So, it's like I feel that, okay, this is not something I want to do. Suddenly a power comes and overtakes, but I think maybe it can also be like a wrestling match. Then I can take it back as well. So, any reflections, especially on this aspect, that how we see that the past, the patterns, the old habits overtake, and how we have to take the power back if we want to progress. You must lift that up. So this covering for sure we all see. Yeah.
I really felt like saying that, and I believe everyone relates to what Ritu was saying about maybe some feeling of frustration. I think this path needs an untiring patience. And I was just thinking again about this. This is beautiful, and like stop and try to figure out how the divine sees the situation, and that's very beautiful. Like it makes us go out of our mind. It's impossible to understand with our minds how God sees and wills. So it's really a valuable effort in each situation. It's very beautiful.
So there's still time. So we can maybe read another paragraph of the next chapter, In Search of the Soul. So if anybody is willing, they can read the first one for us, please.
Yeah, Taru, I'll read.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. In Search of the Soul. How to start the search for the psychic being. We caution you beforehand. It may take years to have the experience of a complete discovery. But each time you go in search and open yourself to the innermost reality, you will receive something from there. Something that is so precious that it will slowly change the quality of your life. In addition to this, the innermost reality becomes more and more concrete to you and becomes a living fact. Gradually, the inner life becomes such a concrete reality that it provides you with a solid base on which you can build your whole life. Every time you contact this base, you feel enveloped with something precious, something that gives a beautiful and truly new meaning to your life.
Sada, you can read the next one as well.
Sure. The goal may not be easy to reach. There are many interesting stories of the ups and downs of those who started out in quest of a precious object. Your journey is in the inner worlds, and there too you may sometimes meet hardships. Uh, Taru, I'll read the second paragraph from the beginning one more time. The goal may not be easy to reach. There are many interesting stories of the ups and downs of those who started out in quest of a precious object. Your journey is in the inner worlds, and there too you may sometimes meet hardships. But the mother says that every sincere call for help is answered. If you start with sincerity, you may trust that on the way you will be given enough drops of the truth to feel protected and uplifted. So beautiful.
Maybe we can go further. It's really nice. We can see what mother has to say.
Yeah. Here are two quotations of the mother. In the first one, she expresses why it is important to go in search of the psychic being. In the second one, she explains why it will be a long journey. The psychic being is in each of you, the deep inner being, which you have to find in order that you may come in contact with the divine in you. It is the intermediary between the divine consciousness and your external consciousness. It is the builder of the inner life. It is that which manifests in the outer nature, the order and rule of the divine will, the mother. I'll continue.
Yes, just the last part. Thank you.
Yeah. The outer being is like a crust. In ordinary people, the crust is so hard and thick that they are not conscious of the divine within them. If once, even for a moment only, the inner being has said, I am here and I am yours, then it is as though a bridge has been built, and little by little the crust becomes thinner and thinner until the two parts are wholly joined and the inner and the outer become one. So beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So just going through some of the things. So, but each time you go in search and open yourself to the innermost reality, you will receive something from there. something that is so precious that it will slowly change the quality of your life. In addition to this, the innermost reality becomes more and more concrete to you and becomes a living fact. I think this is really important because we keep going back and forth, right? A lot of us till a very long time that this is my real life and this is, my time for reflection or, okay, yes, I've had that special experience or yes, I heard that voice, but it's a different part of me. But this is real. So the outer, because we are kind of material people, we feel, we touch, we see easily what is there, solid. But here, Mother is saying that the innermost reality becomes more and more concrete to you and becomes a living fact. I remember, listening to a talk by a saint called Akhand Anandji. He used to live in Vrindavan and he has an ashram there. So he had, once said that the journey begins when you start giving, these innermost things at least as much importance as you give the outermost things. Something happens to me. Something is not going according to my plan or, my wishes. And I lash out or I feel miserable and it's like, oh my God, what's happening in my life? And there is a voice which is telling me, but this is okay, or do this. That I say, yes, yes, you are right. But let me, go and I don't know, physically do something, mentally do something, verbally do something, because somehow it appears more real when I'm doing things more concretely outside. But here, Mother is, reminding us, or I don't know, it is N Huppes who says that each time you go in search and open yourself to the innermost reality, you will receive something from there. Something that is so precious that it will slowly change the quality of your life. In addition to this, the innermost reality becomes more and more concrete to you and becomes a living fact. So gradually, the inner life becomes such a concrete reality that it provides you with a solid base on which you can build your whole life. So usually, we are not getting that solid base from our inner life, right? That is why, because the eyes are looking outwards, we feel outside is the main thing. But when we go in search of this, in search of our soul, gradually we are being assured that the inner life becomes such a concrete reality, concrete, solid, that it provides you with a solid base. So I need a solid base, that is my truth. I don't do good with subtle. So if it will become solid base so that I can be more, I can have more certitude, more faith, more reason to be standing on that. And my whole life can be built on that. So every time you contact this base, you feel enveloped with something precious, something that gives a beautiful and truly new meaning to your life. So anybody would like to, I don't know if say anything here. Just give me 1 second, I will. Yeah, I don't see it. So, there was this beautiful prayer that I thought maybe we could go through, just read it. So, in that, Mother was saying that, how things are like, all topsy-turvy, going here and there. It seems like, there is no light at the end of the tunnel, ta 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 ta. So, I reach out to thee and, I'm like, I offer myself. And then it was very beautiful after a long thing, mother says, and then, uh, Dee replies that, don't worry, I come. Something like this. It was very beautiful that finally, after all the things that I've said, that this is not happening, that is not happening, this seems bad, this thing high, when she rests, then she receives the voice that I come, I come. So if we can remember that he comes, he will come, he is always coming, she is always here. We have been constantly reminded of that. So there is no room for disappointment will come, but I should not stick with it. I will get demotivated, but I will not stick with it. Those are just passing things that as a human I have to face. But if I can remember that he comes, he said he comes, he comes, he comes, that should be my saving grace and something that I am holding very strongly to. He comes. So, any last reflection before we end today?
I just found the lines in Savitri. I thought maybe we can end with that. It is about the psychic. So I think it is. I just reread. I think it is from. I will send the canto and I just second. People might have read, but since she knows the toil of mind and life, as a mother feeds and shares her children's lives, she puts forth a small portion of herself, a being no bigger than the thumb of man, into a hidden region of the heart, to face the pang and to forget the bliss, to share the suffering and endure earth's wounds, and labor made the labor of the stars. Then Shivananda goes on, this is really beautiful. This in us laughs and weeps. Right? We've been saying, right? Oh, we are crying, we are this, and yes, we're having joy also. Suffers the stroke, exults in victory, struggles for the crown, identified with the mind and body and life. It takes on itself their anguish and defeat, bleeds with faith's whips, and hangs upon the cross, yet is unwounded, an immortal self, supporting the actor, the human scene. It's so beautiful. That is what he's saying. That part is always identified, except as you were just saying, it is now identified with all these, you know, the external movements. And I think all these practices that we try to do, as was just said, that we try to move it inwards. So when you move it inwards, that's why all like meditation, all of this, even now we're doing this 20 minutes. It's very important because if constantly you're looking outwards, you don't have time. You're going to be surrounded. So then your psychic is also in whatever little shape or form. It's identified with all these movements on the outside. That is it. Just thought we could end with these lines.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So let's end the session here. So aspiring to not stop, to not feel demotivated for long, to always ask for light whenever I feel I'm in darkness, whenever I see darkness around, and when I ask, knowing that the light will always be given, and in actuality, it's always there. It's just my clouds that cover the light. So, with this certitude of grace being in and around me, thanking the grace, thanking the divine for their constant, unyielding presence and support to us. Praying for peace, expansion, courage for all of us so that we can move more and more and more in the light, towards the light, as the light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, ma'am.
Turu.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.